Hey everybody, it's Christine up today for the Scrap Room with the Flavors of the Month kit, and I am going to be using the Jumpstart sketch as well as I have been all month on my layouts, and I am using the Fancy Pants page kit. So this has kind of what you would think of as patriotic colors. Red, white, blue, and then some lighter shades of blue. But while it has that, it has a love couples kind of theme to it. And so that was super interesting and surprising and unique. So actually, this is my second layout in a row that I'm doing telling a story about my husband and I. It helps that we took a long trip together last summer. Both sets of pictures are from that. But kind of unusual that with my 4 kids that I have us in it 2 times in a row. So you can see I've got a single picture that I'm going to use. This picture, both of our eyes look really blue in it, and so I was definitely drawn to it with the color scheme of this page kit. So I am using a white base, and I am going to trim down 1 inch all the way around, and then use red cardstock to be my actual base and create a frame around that white. This is going to end up being a pretty clean and simple layout with lots of journaling. So I've got my picture. I've got different layers of patterned paper. I did also pull out the embellishment kit and the patterned paper kit as a consideration with this layout because I just wanted to make the best use of it. A lot of the patterns in it are pretty busy, but almost monochromatic, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's such a unique one, but like there's a lot of, like you can see the one right behind my picture has the gray tones. Obviously that floral one has a mixture of colors, but a lot of the other ones are like more monochromatic with a punch of color. And so it's a super interesting kit in that respect. But I love that. I love super interesting. I don't want to do the same thing all the time. So you can see I've got my 1 picture on there. The sketch does call for 2, but I just have 1 again. So I'm going to just do 1. And I have got that little banner piece that I'm going to use. It says the story of us. Not sure where I'm going to use it, but I'm going to use it. And I liked the typewriter just because it went with the story of us. I also like this little piece that looks like paper, and so I'm going to tuck that behind the typewriter so it looks like it's being typed on. And that's all going to work into my journaling. So this picture is of my husband and I, as I mentioned earlier, when we were on vacation last summer, and he was going to officiate a wedding. And of course I got to be his date. And so we were both dressed up nice. And so I'm going to just use this layout, maybe even as a cover to the album that I create about our trip because it was just the 2 of us. And I incorporate into my journaling then just an overview of the trip. So I like this little journaling piece, phrase. So I added that right below the picture, and then I'm going to pull out my T ruler and I'm going to just lightly draw some lines to create journaling going up and down the layout, but specifically looking like kind of like it's flowing from the typewriter. The artistic aspect of that, making it work, I felt like it just fit really well there, and I love the way a typewriter fits to be able to show that you're going to tell a big story. So it worked really nicely for that. And you can see right now, there's not a lot more coming to this layout, but it is clean and simple. Now, one thing I do want to mention with this, before you draw lines onto your layout, make sure you have a good eraser that's not going to leave behind nasty pink marks. I always, even if I think it's a good eraser, I always test it on some white paper before I draw those lines because you don't want to mess up your layout with a bad eraser, and my goodness, there are a lot of bad erasers out there. So carrying on, I'm going to add my journaling. I am using a navy blue pen instead of black because I've got that blue going in the layout already. One thing I do want to note about it is that I staggered the edges of my line, so they're not all right justified or left justified, and they're not all centered. I just kind of am eyeballing where I want to start the next one and where I want to end it to create just some interest to it. Also to make it so that if it's not straight, it won't matter. You know how sometimes you get to the end of a layout and something's just slightly off and it drives you crazy. Not going to have that problem with this one. So I'm going to get all my journaling on there, as I mentioned, just an overview of our trip. And then I will erase my lines. I don't know where else I'm going with this journaling, but I'm going to let it sit for a little bit while I continue to embellish the layout, and then I will figure it out. Now, as a reminder, the Scrap Room has multiple kits. This one is the Flavors of the Month kit, which comes with 4 brand new collection page kits, as well as embellishments and cardstock. You can also order add-ons, including patterned paper, more embellishments, cardstock, etc., etc. Fun way to try out the newest stuff each month. And if you do check it out, be sure to mention that I sent you over. You can see in this the embellishments that come with it, as well as in the embellishment kit. So I've got all these different ephemera pieces and enamel dots. So I didn't love that floral piece that I just tucked under, because it was a different tone of color from the patterned papers. But when I cut it in half and tucked it below and above my picture, which had a gray tone, it worked really nicely. And then this little dot pieces, which look like the keys on a typewriter, were another great addition up there. And you can see how that both of those things aided in taking it to the next level. Very untypical of me in a layout, in that I don't have a bunch of embellishment clusters. Usually I have those in a very clear triangle, and while I am going to have a pretty good triangle going, I've also got a really strong vertical feel, and I don't have those clusters. So I am going to use these enamel dots to kind of bring the eye all the way around the layout. They were available in several colors, and so that makes it easy to use multiple colors and work it around the layout. So there you have it, a heavy journaling layout about mom and dad and the fun that they have too, and stepping away from the kids for yet another layout. Be sure to head to the Scrap Room, check out all of her kits this month, and we will see you again next time.